And clarity, my dear friend, is not a comfortable thing. It's like standing on a mountaintop and suddenly realizing that the clouds you once thought were heaven are just vapor drifting through an empty sky. Most people live comfortably inside illusions. They don't call them illusions. Of course, they call them plans, beliefs, relationships, careers. But the intelligent man or the intelligent woman begins to see through them. They begin to notice that most of what people call friendship is simply an agreement to be distracted together. Now, that realization, that tiny piercing crack in the facade, is the beginning of solitude. And solitude, though often mistaken for loneliness, is not the same thing. Loneliness is the hunger for company. Solitude is the recognition that company can't feed the soul. You see, when you begin to see reality as it is, without your filters, without the social masks, without the endless chatter of approval and belonging, you begin to walk alone. And not because you dislike people, not because you are arrogant or cold, but because you can no longer pretend. When one awakens from illusion, one loses the crowd. Because the crowd lives within illusion, it feeds on comparison, gossip, validation, the noise that hides the silence. But the intelligent person, the one who has begun to see, finds silence more truthful than noise. And so, very often, they sit quietly in a cafe corner while others talk endlessly about the weather, the latest scandal, or who said what about whom. They smile politely, but inside they are light years away, because they realize something others do not, that most conversation is a way of running away from ourselves. Now, the intelligent person doesn't hate this. They simply outgrow it. Just as a child outgrows toys, the mind outgrows certain amusements. The intelligent person finds that the thrill of belonging no longer satisfies, because they have seen the price of conformity, the price of pretending to be someone you're not just to stay loved. That is why, very often, the wise and the insightful are misunderstood. People say, he's distant, she's strange, he never joins us. But they don't understand that the intelligent mind cannot force itself back into blindness once it has seen. You can't unsee truth. You can't unlearn awareness. Once the curtain falls, the play loses its magic. And so they walk alone, not in bitterness, but in awareness. They become wanderers of the inner world. They search not for company, but for connection, not for entertainment, but for meaning. And meaning is a rare thing. To find someone who truly understands, who listens without the intention to reply, who speaks without performing, is one of the rarest gifts in life. That is why smart people often have no friends, because they do not settle for noise when they have tasted silence. They do not chase validation when they have found understanding. They prefer the peace of their own thoughts to the chaos of other people's confusion. And though this path is lonely at first, it is also the most honest. For when you walk alone, you finally hear the sound of your own soul. But here is the paradox, and this is where most people misunderstand solitude. The intelligent person is not avoiding people. They are seeking truth. And truth, you see, cannot be found in crowds. It appears in moments of stillness, like a reflection that only shows when the water is calm. So when you see the intelligent man sitting alone, don't pity him. He is not lonely, he is listening. He is watching the world reveal itself without the distortions of need or noise. He has not rejected society, he has simply refused to be deceived by it. Now, once a person begins to live in this state of solitude, something remarkable happens. At first, the silence feels heavy, as if the walls of the world have closed in. But soon, you begin to notice that the silence isn't empty at all. It's full of subtle movements, of delicate thoughts, of the breath of life itself, you begin to see that most people avoid silence because they're afraid of what it reveals their own thought. They fear meeting themselves. But the intelligent person, once he stops resisting, begins to discover that his own mind is not an enemy. It is a vast landscape, uncharted, filled with mysteries deeper than any conversation could ever reach. So he starts to explore it. He sits quietly and observes, and he begins to understand that everything he ever sought in friendship, validation, warmth, laughter, understanding, already exists within him. It was never missing. It was only covered up by the noise of constant companionship. You see, when you're alone long enough, the boundaries between you and the world begin to fade. You realize that the tree outside your window, the sound of rain, the flickering of light through the curtain, all of it is a kind of conversation. Life is speaking, just not in words. And the intelligent person learns to listen. But, of course, society doesn't understand this kind of listening. It glorifies noise, constant updates, constant chatter, constant interaction. We've confused activity with meaning. People think that if you are not surrounded by others, you must be missing something. But the intelligent person knows sometimes the crowd is what makes you feel most alone. And here's the subtle truth: the more deeply you think, the fewer people there are who can follow you. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they have chosen comfort over awareness. They want the warmth of illusion, not the clarity of truth. And truth, when spoken plainly, is often uncomfortable. So the intelligent person speaks less, not out of pride, but precision. They realize that words are clumsy tools, and that understanding is not always born through talking. They would rather share silence with one honest soul than noise with 100 shallow minds. And so their circle shrinks, but their peace grows. They no longer chase friends, because they've realized that most friendships are built on mutual avoidance, two people helping each other escape themselves. Real friendship begins when that escape ends. When two people can sit in silence without needing to fill it. That, you see, is love. But few reach that point, because solitude, while beautiful, also destroys illusion. It shows you how much of your identity was built around being liked. And when you no longer need to be liked, you become unpredictable. You become free. Freedom is terrifying to those who live for approval. And so the intelligent man finds that his presence disturbs people, not because he wishes to, but because his freedom exposes their cages. When you no longer play the same games, you make the players uncomfortable. And yet this is precisely where transformation begins. The loneliness that once felt unbearable turns into a kind of serenity. The silence that once echoed becomes music. And the lack of friends becomes the space in which something new is born, authenticity. You see, it is only when you stop pretending that real connections can appear. When the intelligent person stops adjusting themselves to fit the world, they begin to attract those rare few who understand them without masks. The world may call them loners, but in truth they are the most connected of all connected, not through quantity, but through quality. So, the journey of solitude is not a punishment, it's purification. You are being emptied, so you can be filled with something real. And in that process, every false friendship, every shallow bond, every illusion of belonging must fall away. Only then does the intelligent person realize that no friends does not mean no love. It means no pretending. It means every bond that remains, even if it's only one, is true. When one has walked long enough in solitude, a strange thing begins to happen. The silence, which once felt like exile, becomes home. The very same aloneness that once felt like a curse begins to reveal itself as a blessing, a kind of unseen garden growing within you. You start to realize that you are not truly alone. You are surrounded by life. Every leaf trembles with intelligence. Every breeze carries whispers of eternity. The problem was never that you had no one. The problem was that you could not see. The intelligent person begins to see not through the eyes of the ego, but through the eyes of awareness itself. And through those eyes, something miraculous occurs. The separation between me and them begins to dissolve. The world, which once appeared crowded with strangers, becomes a reflection of your own consciousness. You begin to feel connected, not to personalities, but to presence, not to words, but to being. You see, the ordinary man seeks friends to fill a void, to feel complete. But the intelligent man realizes that the void is an illusion. There is no hole to fill, only the mistaken belief that one ever existed. The mind invents loneliness. The soul never knew it. This realization changes everything. For the first time, you begin to love without needing anyone to love you back. You begin to listen without waiting to reply. You begin to give not as a transaction, but as an overflow. And then, very quietly, life starts to return the gesture. You begin to meet people, not many, but a few whose eyes hold the same knowing. You recognize them instantly, not because they resemble you in habit or belief, but because their silence feels like your own. It's as if two waves have remembered they belong to the same ocean. This is what I call real friendship, a meeting of awareness, not of personalities, not of social convenience, but of being itself. And the beautiful irony is that you only discover such friendship when you've stopped looking for it. When you no longer need anyone to complete you, you begin to attract those who are already complete. Now, this kind of connection frightens ordinary people because it requires nakedness not of the body, but of the soul. It requires that you show yourself without disguise, and the intelligent person has learned through solitude that most people cannot bear that level of truth. They are addicted to roles, the friend, the lover, the victim, the hero, anything but the raw reality of being. So the wise man does not demand understanding. He simply observes, smiles, and lets people come and go like the seasons. He realizes that nothing needs to be held, because nothing real can be lost. And when you understand that, truly understand it, you stop clinging to people. You let them be free, because you are free. Freedom, that is the real gift of intelligence. It frees you from the compulsion to belong. It frees you from the ache of comparison, the hunger for attention, the need to be seen, because you understand that what you truly are has never been unseen. Now, this does not mean the intelligent person isolates forever. No, rather, they begin to participate again, but differently. They re-enter the world not as someone seeking, but as someone offering. Their solitude has ripened them. They are no longer searching for meaning in others. They bring meaning to others. And this is where the story takes a sacred turn. Because once you have made peace with being alone, you become capable of real love. Not the kind of love that clings, but the kind that liberates. You love the world the way the sun loves the earth, shining on everything, asking for nothing in return. And so the intelligent person, though they may still have few friends, begins to feel connected to all things. They see themselves in every face, in every struggle, in every laughter and every tear. They realize that friendship, in its truest form, is not something you find, it's something you become. When you stop demanding love, you start embodying it. When you stop seeking validation, you become a mirror for others to see themselves clearly. And this you see, is the highest purpose of solitude, not to withdraw from life, but to return to it awakened. The wise one walks among the crowd again, but now the crowd no longer clouds his vision. He listens, but he is not absorbed. He loves, but he does not depend. He helps, but he does not control, because he has learned that the moment you try to hold life, you lose it. And the moment you let it flow, it stays. So, yes, smart people may have few friends, but the few they have are real. And beyond those few, they are friends with existence itself. The wind, the stars, the quiet hum of being, these are their companions. They have traded popularity for peace, and in doing so, discovered a richer belonging than the crowd could ever offer. You see, the paradox of intelligence is that it leads you away from people only to bring you back with a heart that finally understands them. Not to judge, not to fix, but to see them truly, see them in their confusion, their striving, their beauty. And that seeing itself is love. You see, when the intelligent person has walked through the valley of loneliness, through the shadow of misunderstanding, and into the light of awareness, something extraordinary happens. They stop asking why. They no longer wonder why they have no friends, or why the world doesn't seem to understand them, because they have realized something deeper. Life was never meant to be understood by the mind. It was meant to be experienced by the soul. And so their solitude ceases to be a problem. It becomes a rhythm, the in-breath and out-breath of existence. There are moments of stillness, and there are moments of connection. Both are necessary. Both are beautiful. One is not higher than the other, just as the mountain is not superior to the valley. The intelligent person begins to see life as a dance, a play of opposites, aloneness and togetherness, speech and silence, movement and rest. And in seeing that, they stop fighting with reality. They learn to flow with it. When they are alone, they are not lonely, they are listening. When they are with others, they are not lost, they are sharing. They no longer chase company, nor do they avoid it. They simply allow what comes and let go of what goes, because they understand nothing real can ever leave you, and nothing false can ever stay. That is the quiet wisdom that intelligence, when ripened by solitude, brings. It is not about being above others, it is about seeing through the illusion of separateness. The intelligent soul understands that friendship, like everything else, is transient. People enter your life like chapters in a book, some short, some long, but all necessary. And when their part is done, the wise person closes the page with gratitude, not grief. This is why truly intelligent people appear calm, almost detached. Not because they don't care, but because they have stopped clinging. They have seen that attachment is not love, and dependence is not connection. Love flows freely. Attachment tries to possess. And possession, in any form, is fear disguised as affection. The wise one loves without owning. They walk through the world gently, leaving everyone a little freer than before. Their company doesn't demand, it liberates. And that, my friend, is the rarest gift of all. Now, you might ask, does the intelligent person ever feel lonely again? Of course, they are still human. But the difference is, their loneliness no longer terrifies them. They treat it like an old companion who occasionally knocks on the door, and when it does, they invite it in for tea. Because they understand loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the longing for yourself. And when you finally meet yourself fully, without judgment, without shame, without escape, that longing disappears. You find that the person you were waiting for has always been here. And then, whether you have one friend, or none, or 1,000, it no longer matters, because you are whole. You see, The great secret is this: solitude is not isolation, it's intimacy with life itself. When the intelligent person stops running from their own depth, they discover that they are not separate from anything. Every bird, every sound, every passing face, it's all part of the same great song, and you are the silence in which it plays. That is why I often say, the truly intelligent man is not antisocial, he is beyond society. He participates in the world playfully, not seriously. He can laugh with fools without becoming one, and speak with sages without worshipping them. He belongs everywhere and nowhere, because his home is within. And perhaps that is the final paradox. The moment you stop needing friends, you become a friend to all. You stop dividing the world into mine and theirs, me and them. You see everyone as a traveler on the same mysterious road, each carrying their own fears, hopes, and dreams. You realize that everyone is trying, in their own way, to find peace. And from that realization, compassion is born. Not pity, not superiority, but quiet understanding. You begin to forgive more easily, laugh more freely, and love more silently. You become not a person with no friends, but a presence through which friendship flows effortlessly. So, if you find yourself alone, don't rush to escape it. Don't fill the silence with noise or the space with strangers. Sit with it. Listen, because somewhere in that stillness, you will hear the voice of your own being whispering. You were never alone. You were just learning to meet yourself, and that is the beginning of real friendship. Not with the world,